Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm recording this right now, and this is basically day 2 of mandatory work from home for me. We are in the middle of a whole pandemic right now with COVID-19. So obviously ain't nobody traveling, and if you're traveling, my dear, hawk. You don't know what's going on. I am not going to travel because I like myself. I mean, I've actually had to push. I've canceled one already. Another one was canceled for me. Actually, a third one was canceled for me. And these were like the 2 that were canceled for me. I was actually gonna like make trips out of them, but it is what it is at this point. Safety first, and not just your personal safety, but public safety as well. That's the whole thing behind public health. But anyways, let me get off my little soapbox. Obviously, because of the fact that there won't be much traveling going on, like I mentioned, I do have some previous videos that I've shot that I will upload. But I figured, what else can I do at this time to explore? And I thought about reading. So since maybe last end of November, I've actually really been reading a lot of books. And I mean, even prior to that, of course, I read. Like, come on, y'all, reading is fundamental. I actually enjoy reading. I've always enjoyed reading from a very young age. But recently I've been focusing more on African literature just because that's kind of what my interest is at the moment. You know, I've done self-help books. I've done nonfiction, fiction. I like to read. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share my top 4 Afro-Lit books. Now, I'll be honest, I'm Nigerian and there's a lot of Nigerian literature, so I'm probably biased to, and not to say biased, but it's easier for me to find out about Nigerian literature to read it. So the majority of my list is gonna be Nigerian literature. So I hope you guys are fine with that. I'm gonna give you guys my top 4 books today. And these are books that I have read probably within the past 3, maybe 4 years, maybe more. 3-4 years, but they are the books that I have absolutely loved. I'm not going to necessarily like, I hate spoilers, so I'm not going to necessarily do a lot of spoilers, if any. I hope you guys will like them or that you have liked them. If you've read any of them, please put it down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you agree with my takeaways or my perception of it. And if you have any to suggest, please also do so. So I would have to say probably my favorite book that I've read in the past couple of years has got to be Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. You guys, this book, I think when I read the book, I probably cried like multiple times throughout reading the book. I mean, I just think it was very well written. You know, there's some stories where you can kind of tell the end from the beginning, and even though there are some kind of things that you kind of knew from the beginning or some things that you could figure out as the story was going along, when you got to the end, even if you started to figure out like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, it's still like, it just still packed such a good punch that it felt good. It was so well written. I mean, like, the emotions that I was having personally were all over the place because it's such a realistic story. It's a relatable story, especially if you're familiar with Nigerian culture. And I mean, man, I felt so bad. I felt so bad for some of the characters in the book. Like, it was tough. Oh my God, it was tough. It was, whew, it was, but like I said, extremely well written. I think it captured a lot of different pieces of the conflict in culture, if that makes sense. Like, I think it captured a lot of it very well, and it did it in a way where, you know, it didn't necessarily feel like it was trying to tell you what to think, or it was trying to dictate to you what your opinion or what your own judgment of these things should be. So I absolutely loved it. Number 2 on my list, The Secret Lives of the 4 Wives by Lola, Shoneyin. This book is like the most chaotic book I probably have ever read. And not chaotic in the way it was written, but just the storyline was just so chaotic. Like, you would just be like, what? Are these people crazy? But it was, that's such a hilarious book to me. Like, I would actually read this book again just to crack up. Like, I already know everything's gonna happen, but I would just read it again just to crack up. And another thing I also appreciate about this book is that you could not, once again, you couldn't necessarily tell the end from the beginning. I mean, trust me, it caught me fully off guard because I did not expect that to happen, what happened in the book. But I really liked it because, once again, this is a book that talks about the kind of some of the conflicts in culture, and, you know, being able to set it inside of a home with, you know, 1 patriarch and 4 wives is like, it was good, not because of that, but it was just good the way that it was able to tell the story, convey the story, the relationships, everything. So I absolutely loved it as well. There's, you know, kind of a, the tussle, I guess you can call it, between old and new, and I just thought it was very well written. So I recommend it. I've already recommended it to like a few people. I think I recommended it to one of my coworkers actually, because he was looking to get into African literature, and I recommended it to him and he loved it. So you guys go read that book if you have not read it yet. The third book on my list is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, I love history. Absolutely love history. And this book was just so deep. It was extremely well written. I mean, it takes you through a lot, but it was so well written. It was, obviously I didn't live through some of the times that the book talks about, but it gives you like a really good perspective of what things were like in those moments and what things, you know, yeah, it just gives you a good perspective. And it just did it in such a good way that told a great story. Because I think there's a lot of books that try to capture the topics in the book dealing with slavery, dealing with identity, that don't quite hit the mark, but I felt like this book really hit the mark. I mean, I don't really know if I would say that it didn't. I probably didn't anticipate how it was going to end, but I think that's just because I was trying to wrap my mind around the whole concept of the book to begin with. Because I'm not going to lie, it's actually really confusing when you first start reading it. But when you get a little bit more into it, you start to realize that, okay, they're going, you know, they're kind of alternating storylines, if that makes sense. But absolutely love the book. I would definitely recommend it for anyone that is interested in learning a little bit more about slavery. I don't necessarily think all the stories depicted are true representations, but they're probably close to what really happened for the individuals in the story, or for the individuals who lived around those times. But yeah, I absolutely love the book as well, and I would recommend it. My fourth book. So I feel like, you guys don't judge me. My fourth book that I really like is I Do Not Come to You by Chance by Adaobi, Tricia, Nwaubani. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This book is also a little bit chaotic. It's so interesting because this book really forces you to have a different perspective on 419. Like, and not that it forces you, but it gives you a different perspective on 419. If you don't know about it, you don't know about it. You would not know about it. But I think it's just so interesting because it is, I don't want to say it's understandable, because I feel like y'all gonna start judging me if I say it's understandable, but it's understandable. Like, 419 is understandable. Some people are really trying to make ends meet, feed their family, no jobs, or, you know, going to school to get a degree just to not be able to use it. And you got some gullible person here, gullo, as I believe it's called. And I mean, why not? I'm not promoting 419, by the way, you guys. Let's just be really clear on that, because I don't want no feds coming to get me. But it does a good job at giving a realistic or decent perspective to what else is otherwise frowned upon. And, you know, I'm really about broadening perspectives and being able to look at things from different angles. So I think the book does a really great job at doing that. This is also one of the books that by the end of it, I kind of had an idea what might happen, but I was cracking up. So I thought it was actually extremely hilarious to me the way the book kind of went by the end of it. Loved it. So yeah. Besides that, I think recently, these are the books I've actually probably read over the last a few months or so. I did read I Do Not Come to You by Chance. I think I read that one in like October, November, December, somewhere around that time. But other than that, these are the other books I've read recently. I've read Children of Blood and Bone, My Sister the Serial Killer, Happiness Like Water, and Everything Good Will Come. I think I've probably read maybe one or two other books. I've also read Split the Difference, which is totally outside of this category, but, you know, broadening my perspectives. And of course I read my Bible. But anyway, so that's kind of all I have as far as the books. Like I mentioned, if you have any suggestions or anything to share, please let me know below. I really would love to read. Like we all got time. What we gonna do with it? I would rather not spend it sleeping, so I'd much rather like to read. But that's all I have for you guys today. So please let me know if you like the books, if you don't like them, if you have any other suggestions as well. I really do like fiction, and I love Afro literature, like I mentioned, so I'm definitely up for a good book. And I want to encourage you to please use this as an opportunity to get yourself an Audible, a Kindle, an Overdrive account, whatever you can get, so you can read. Reading is fundamental, and if you support your local library will support you. All right, guys, see you next time.